Let's talk about the Yassification of fighting game characters. I'm gonna give you three, right? Three examples. So Chip is one I want to talk about a lot. He's actually gonna be the one I probably talk about more, but the best example of one I think they did right was Johnny. Johnny, if you are familiar with him in Exer, you may know he's just broken. That's basically Johnny's legacy in Exer. He's just broken. In Plus R though, in older games, unless you get to like X, or X, I think X he's like broken. It was X or XX. But basically, Johnny in Plus R was not considered very good. And it wasn't because his kit was bad. If you execute his kit, he's pretty good. But the problem with him is no one can consistently execute him. Like, that's like the real problem. It's that he's like a character held back by execution and how consistent you are with it. There's one exception though. It's Sato. But I'm gonna show you like some highlights and I'll explain what he's doing every time he does it, right? His mechanic is he has a Mistfinder stance, right? He can cancel into it. He uses it on hit and on block to either make himself plus or always hit confirm. He has some things out of this, like this. This is Mistfinder stance, dash. He can dash in the stance, jack count. So he's doing 236, 66 into jack count, which is 214. He's doing this in the span of time to hit confirm off of it. Then he does 5H. He does killer joker, FRC, jump H, delay jump D, link 5H, Mistfinder, into super, right? This is one combo. This is one combo for about 50%. So here's what makes him hard. I know, it's not his combos, but for him to get consistent knockdowns, he has to do this. It's hard to tell. Please excuse the quality. He has a move where he slices like a liquor bottle, and then from it, there's a fire, like an explosion, right? To make this work, he has to hit them with the first hit. Otherwise, it will not hard knockdown, see? And then he gets an unblockable. The point is, he's a huge not knowledge check, but he's a huge execution check. It's a little hard for me to tell the health fire sometimes because the quality is so bad. I've been a little too spoiled. But we used to live like this. Here are some basic examples of the kind of specific like information you would need to know in order to set this up. Right? This is just how it works. This is not executing it, which is also very hard. How they simplified him was they removed a lot of the complexity, right? And this is actually something you may not believe, but I was a Plus R Johnny player, and because how they changed him, I didn't want to play him in Plus R or in X-Ray. That's actually what made me swap from Johnny in older games to Soul, right? Like essentially the Yassification of Johnny is why I ended up playing Soul. But I recognized that essentially this was a good change, right? Like this is a very good change. And the reason for that, essentially, if you wanted to be a Johnny player, like the baseline was so hard for him to get. Yeah, they made him playable. That's a good way to put it. They basically just made him playable for like a majority of people. In almost every way he was simplified, right? But I'll give you the main one. It's this. So this is his new knockdown tool. It's literally just if you hit them with the first hit, same as before, but you can see the kick essentially just means if they're above you, this will hard knockdown, right? Rather than before, which essentially was you essentially had to have them at such a specific angle in order for them to not get hard knockdown, or in order for them to get hard knockdown. They literally just made it, if they're above you, this will work, right? That's basically it. It's like super simplified. Obviously, they made it easier in other ways, like Baka Sai YRC, there's no FRC, it's a lot easier. Same with Divine Blade. Air's Y-Hander was a little broken on release, and by that, I mean, it was extremely broken. This was plus 40, but of course, because they simplified him, and they didn't really like compensate for it, like again, like Johnny was considered, you know, weak in older games, not because of his kit, but because of how hard he was. They didn't really compensate for that when they added him, so then he was absurdly broken. Like, he's probably on release one of the most broken characters in the past 10 years. Like, easily. All he had to do was knock you down, and he puts the gas on you, and then you're done. If you didn't have meteor, this is the end of your life. Of course, like in that way, like now he's perfectly fine. Like the way, like he's still top tier, but like he's like I'd say he's a good top tier. He's just really good. But on release, he was absurd. Now, obviously, there's no Johnny and Strive, but I'm gonna give you guys an example of a character I think they did really well, and that's Soul. Soul, or plus R2 Exert, is pretty identical, but how they worked with Soul is actually really great. So literally with Soul, all you did was you threaten from 2P, you use that to go into 2S, you use a threat of 2S to do anything else, right? So these are like non-committal frame traps, basically. The end game goal is you want them to mash into 6P. Basically, the advantage of Soul was that he had so many threats on his offense, usually revolving around 2P, 2S, right? Those are like the two god buttons. 2P could go into anything, for the most part. 2S could go into 6H, which meant unless you instant blocked it, you could not really do anything more, right? With the removal of Gatlings, essentially what they've done is they've summarized and like really like pushed forward what makes how he works, right? Like he just forces plus frames in the same way, but it's not as linear, or it's not as like, you know, so to speak, open world. It's not as open world as it used to be. So as a result, I really like how they changed him. In previous games, he was a lot more controlling of mid-range. Once he gets close, you have to guess around how he Gatlings, right? Even if he goes into 6P, right, he has a shit ton of Gatling options. So even if you guess right on just blocking the 6P and not mashing on him, he has all these things he can go into, right? All of them. Typically, they'd use close slash or 2S or 5H or 6H, right? There's so many options that he could go from that. Just because you block 6P did not mean anything. So like how they changed him for the most part, I like what they did, because essentially if you actually played Soul like competitively, the special moves you use are Gunflame for Oki, sometimes in like matchup specific, but it's not great. Feint, occasionally. Obviously DP, because it's very important. Revolver, occasionally, depending on matchup and some combos. Riot Stomp, you basically never use, no matter what. Grand Viper, basically useless, except for like a few interactions. Fafnir, extremely important in all ways. Obviously, Tyrant Rave is extremely good because you get hit confirms off it. If you compare it to Strive, essentially they removed the frame trap ability from a 6P, right? And they extremely reduced the damage. You used to get like 300 damage off it in exchange for Far S, which is a plus, right? It's just plus 2. So comparing Far Slash, which is 10 frames, 2 frames, it's 10 frames startup, 2 frames active, 13 frames, which is still too low. I think that they should still nerf this. Compared to 2S, which is disjointed, gives him a combo and counter hit. For the most part, like his kit is not that different, right? Like he's definitely highly focused on running like much more close range offense, right? With close slash, because obviously close slash is something you have to consider as well. Basically, you can consider his old 2P like close slash and Far S like his old 2S. But what I really like about him is they've removed all the shit that you do not need to use. Like it's pretty direct. All these moves have great use, right? Gunflame, you'd use it all the time. Feint, great option, especially in this game. It's more useful in this one than an Exert, honestly. HVV is, or well, VV in general, it's still great. Revolver is still great. It's more useful in this game. Bringer is more useful in this game. And Vortex is infinitely better than Grand Viper. It's so much better. I'm glad they actually did the change. And Fafnir is not as important for combos, but it's much better in neutral. Of course, they still fucked up and they added this shitty move, but I mean, it looks cool, so I guess whatever. They have to give him something that looks cool. Like, he's still the same sort of character. He forces the same sort of interactions where you guess on his offense. Like, he's got all these options that essentially if you guess wrong, you still die. In fact, you die harder than in Strive for mashing on him incorrectly. It kills you harder, like infinitely harder. Even though Soul in Strive is better, Exert Soul rewards you and is way more punishing to interact with than Strive Soul, right? Because Strive Soul is a lot more linear. You're way more likely to guess right just because of how simplified it is. That's basically how it used to work in older games. This is why I don't really get people that really kind of idolize more options, but they hate a lot of Strive options. What you're asking for, if you want like Gatlings back, they do feel better. I agree with that. but like you're basically asking for the same +2 situation to keep happening on each window, right? I feel like a lot of people don't understand that like you can just have a preference. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to like you could just like Exerd more or like +R more or something, right? It's just like you have to understand why they do this. They don't understand like this is a business, right? Like they want their game to sell. They have a goal with what they want. I mean, with Strive, they specifically said like they want the game to be like they want new players to pick it up and be able to get competitive. Like that's the goal, right? I mean, oh, it's like right here. We aren't using previous titles as a base when thinking about changing the character's moves. We're redefining each character from the ground up for this new game. And I mean, you can see it in a lot of ways, right? A lot of the time, these characters are extremely streamlined. And I'm gonna give you another great example of one I think is bad. It's Mei. Because Mei is extremely simplified compared to older games, and she doesn't have the same things to make up for it. If you hate Mei and Strive, you cannot play Exerd. You cannot. You literally cannot play Exerd. Mei is the same type of character, except for one key difference. She set plays you. This character can fucking 50-50 you on your wake up. On top of doing the same shit, all her air combos are burst safe, so that means you cannot burst this character, period. I don't know, this shit's lying to you. Big damage, above average. She did really high amounts of damage. Yeah, she did Strive damage. Mei is actually a great character for Strive because she just does Strive damage. Essentially what it meant was if she knocked you down and she ran Dolphinoki, you were blocking a high-low, right? Mei is a great example because they just remove shit. And another example I think is okay is this little fuck. So I've talked about Chip a lot. Chip in older games is fucked up. One thing I realized, like from playing Strive, is that honestly, how they simplified characters was good because people don't have the tolerance for this sort of shit. But like, let's look at some of his frame data, okay? So 5P, usually like 5Ps are plus, but he has a 4 framer, right? Here's one that's illegal. His close slash is +2 on block. If you block this move, he can close slash into close slash and you are getting frame trap. I'm gonna show you guys also something that if you are new to Strive, you will not be able to process. This move is impossible to anti-air. 9 times out of 10, if you try to anti-air this move, he's going to kill you. There's a site called like just IB air throw, and it's just like it's like a jump D hitbox, and that's it. And then you have to air throw him. If you missed it, you die. So I've already talked about Gamma. This is bullshit, right? This is bullshit. Basically, this is pretty important because this is like combined with his fast frame data. This meant you had to always respect him. Oh yeah, also he has invulnerability. He has invulnerability. He can go invisible. So of course, in Strive, his frame data take a massive hit, right? Like close slash was like a great example. His hurt boxes are way worse. This is why I always say like I'm never afraid of Chip, because like I've dealt with this move if Chip threw this shit out, he just killed you. Right? Like, again, he got a combo. In fact, like this move got memed on. This is like Babby. Like so many people were like, Chip's so broken because of Jump 2K. This shit was nothing. If this gave him a left-right mix-up, this is exactly what we used to deal with. Like his alpha is a lot easier to deal with. Gamma is worse. I guess it's +6, so it's slightly better in terms of frame data. Rekka is worse in every way except for Rekka 2, which is 1 frame better. He has wall run, but basically this is nothing compared to old wall cling. Old wall cling was actually on some shit. I think a lot of people could not handle old Chip. Like, you can call me a boomer for this. I don't think they should have nerfed Jump 2K. I like the old version of Jump 2K because it forces me to play in a way similarly to how I used to. I always liked it when Sajam said this, when they'd be like, you guys want like broken shit and you can't handle a +2 mid. And honestly, like something like Happy Chaos is actually great too, because the reason why I like Happy Chaos is because I really like him because he's like an old gear character. You know what I mean? Like a lot of how he works is very similar to like a +R character, and people hate him. You know what I mean? A lot of people really like talk about like liking more options, or like the real thing I think about is they like idolize him. But like half these characters, they'll fuck you harder than Happy Chaos, way harder, right? Oh, my tier list is on here. Look at me, former top level Exerd player. That's me. Former. You may notice a trend with these tier lists, right? Who wrote this? You're going to jail.